Good evening, everybody. My name's Tom Stoukas, coming to you from Sarnia, Ontario on December 5th, Friday, December 5th. Hopefully, everybody's having a nice Friday evening. A little bit of everything today on my timeline, X timeline. Some Ukraine stuff, some Trump stuff, some Somalian stuff, some Indian stuff. It's a mix of everything. So let's just get to it. Why don't we? All right. First off, racialized immigrants report lower well-being in Canada, study shows. I don't even want to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read a little bit of it. Racialized immigrants. So they should go home then, if they don't feel. I had to pay I had a flat tire today. The tire's ruined. It's going to cost me like $300-400 for a tire. So that's a little bit of a hit. But these guys are more important. Racialized immigrants report lower well-being. A new study suggests Canada's high global ranking on life satisfaction masks important gaps, especially for racialized immigrants. Why racialized? Who report significantly lower well-being than Canadian-born non-racialized. I don't even know what that means. So basically, they're not satisfied. They're lower probability of thriving compared with Canadian-born non-racialized. I don't even know what this means. Why would someone even bother with something like that? It's just them for a reason to complain more? And of course, that's the name of the person. Okay. This is where we noted that people who were immigrants to Canada, and in particular people who were racialized immigrants, had lower life satisfaction scores. Well, if they don't like it, then you know what to do. Racialized immigrants in the study reported lower life satisfaction, partly due to discrimination based on skin color. Of course, according to the authors. If you're a new Canadian and you're a person of color, and it's difficult to settle in the country, new Canadian. Of course, new Canadian. Then you're going to have a harder time and likely will score lower life satisfaction. Whatever. Okay, now where's the policy? What policy change do they suggest? We look to see what are the modifiable factors that, if we changed in Canada, may improve life satisfaction. Healthcare and healthcare access come out very strongly. What can we do in Canada is to have a plan around immigration when we welcome newcomers, set them up with settlement services and try and make them that transition easier. Yeah, all right. See, this is the whole problem with Canada right here. Studies like this boggles the mind. We're broke. We're running like $80 billion deficits. Everything's stagnating, economic indicators. Yeah, but we got to worry about if these guys are satisfied. These racialized immigrants. You know what? There's a country that you came from that you'd be the same color, same race. So maybe you should work on fixing that better. Okay. So I've had enough of this study. You get the picture. More money to make refugees, racialized immigrants feel more satisfied with Canadian life, of course. Okay. This is a funny story. It's a damn shame we are selling these to the U.S. when we could use them for our own mass deportations. So apparently the U.S. is buying armored vehicles from Canada for ICE, which is Immigration Customs Enforcement. The ICE, the squads going around deporting people. So they're they're selling them so much for the trade war. We're selling armored vehicles, and yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Is like we should use that for here. Let's load those babies up. Now they're saying, oh, you should stop the sale because it's going to ICE. It's like we kind of need the money, don't we? Why would we turn down money? I didn't know we made nice armored vehicles like those. They should sell those to us. I'd like one of those. Okay, next. This really gets me. This is a regular occurrence here. It's basically Canadian Parliament. Looks like it's a different country, like, or the UN or something. Like, and they're talking about stuff that doesn't have anything to do with Canada. It's like, and the whole point of Canadian Parliament is to discuss Canadian issues and how to better the lives of Canadians. But this is what we get instead. Let's see what she's saying. Hold on, my audio's. I don't know what's going on here. Just give me a second. Hold on.
A recognized political party in Bangladesh, have been found inadmissible
Okay.
to Canada.
Sorry about that, guys. I screwed up. But anyway, it's gone now. So listen to this. This is the
Canadians, including many
Liberal MP for Scarborough Centre, Don Valley East, Salma Zahid. Yeah, that's Canadian Parliament.
of the Bangladeshi community in Toronto and in Montreal. They wish to draw our attention to the fact that some members of the Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami, a recognized political party in Bangladesh, have been found inadmissible to Canada under ARPA. The petitioners say that this party and its supporters are law-abiding citizens who participated in the democratic process and are committed to democratic values. They ask the government to review its policy regarding the members of this party and to ensure individual applicants receive fair and just treatment under Canadian law. Thank you.
Anyway, the point is I see clips the other day we were looking.
By 238 Canadians, including many members of the Bangladeshi community in Toronto and in Montreal.
Anyway.
They wish to draw our attention to the fact that some members.
So, I see this the other day with Suk Dhaliwal, another Liberal MP. He was talking about something about Sikhs. I don't know, something about India that happened 50 years ago. So basically, it's a recurring theme in Parliament, in Canadian Parliament. They never seem to talk about issues. You got foreign-born MPs who can barely speak English, and they don't talk about issues that are affecting Canadians. I wonder why. Like, it's crazy. And it's not just this one lady. It's like all the time now. And they're talking about these foreign issues. The only time they talk about Canada is when they need money from Canada. So, it's ridiculous. It's a joke. Okay, so that's it's like a recurring thing. There's always, the Canadian Parliament, you don't see, like I remember growing up watching Canadian Parliament, you actually saw Canadians, and they were talking about Canadian things. So, this is it? We gotta change that? Or might as well be the UN Parliament. Alright, here's Tucker. The States is doing a lot of talk about basically the exact stuff I've been talking about, and a lot of people have been talking about how this is destroying Canada, letting in like millions of third world migrants. Really, our leaders are to blame, not the migrants, for letting them in, like, and encouraging them to come and treating them like with all sorts of goodies. So, and the States started to basically say the exact same stuff that we've been saying, which is weird. It's like almost like they're reading my mind. And they're basically saying the Europeans are becoming less reliable allies and actually becoming a threat to the U.S. by letting their countries be overrun by third world migrants and taking over from the locals. Tucker Carlson's been saying this a lot, but now everybody in that, basically a lot of people in the U.S. are saying this for the U.S. that, basically we can't let we can't bring in like Europe. We can't be like Europe, bringing in millions of migrants to basically take over their societies. So it's pretty interesting how quickly how much they're criticizing Europe and making a big deal out of it. I think that's a good thing because we have the same issue in Canada. Let's see what Tucker says here anyway.
And I said, what? That's like, what the hell is on your cigarettes? Like, you don't like what the government's doing to you? Shut up, racist, and you go to jail. They send people to jail. UK, they send people to jail every day. And not for standing in, Hyde Park and screaming, but for writing it on Facebook. So imagine a government that totally destroys the country, which is criminal behavior, and then criminalizes complaining about it. That's not a legitimate government. That's a tyranny.
That's coming to Canada.
That's a tyranny. And if that were happening in some widely recognized tyrannical country, East Germany, 1975, where everyone's under surveillance. By the way, I don't think East Germany, 1975, which was famously the most surveilled nation in the history of the world, I don't think they had seatbelt cameras. I don't. No, they didn't.
Okay,
that was too far even for Eric Honecker. He's like, that's old fascist for me. I can't do it. So these countries have become, including my own, have become surveillance states. And the point of that surveillance is not to keep you safe. It's to punish you for noticing what they're doing to your country, actually. That's not the behavior of a legitimate government. And if you think that's like a right-wing point, you've bought the lies. That's not a right-wing point. That's a simple observation about human rights. No privacy, no freedom. Not to mention the endless hectoring. No, it's not your country. I went to buy a pack of cigarettes today. I quit smoking 10 years ago, but I thought, you can kind of judge a country by its cigarettes. Couldn't find them. I went to this tobacco store.
All right,
I said,
we'll
this
get the
tobacco
picture.
store, you don't have any cigarettes? Oh, they're...
So basically, I like that post because it was sounds like exactly what's happening in Canada. He's talking about Europe, but we're talking about, Canada's right there with Europe. So imagine a government that totally destroys a country, which is criminal behavior, and then criminalizes complaining about it. That's what's happening in Canada. I can't wait to see what the Liberals do to shut people up. Okay, look at this. This is another. This is another parliamentarian, Juanita Nathan from Pickering, Brooklyn, Liberal MP, of course. Again, you got look at the parliament. You got the Indian dude there. Basically, UN Parliament now, the Canadian Parliament. So what's she talking about? Bangladesh? She's not talking about Toronto or Pickering. She's talking about Bangladesh. This is a joke.
Cyclone Ditwa has devastated communities across Sri Lanka, causing severe flooding and landslides that has claimed over 465 lives and left hundreds more missing. Homes, infrastructure, and local economies have suffered serious damage, and communities across the country are struggling to deal with
Last time I checked,
aftermath,
so is
especially in the northeast hill regions, which are already struggling due to poverty and war.
Why is that our problem?
Canada has always been known as a partner that we can count on in moments of hardship. Could the Secretary of State for International Development inform this House of...
The Honourable Secretary of State for International Development.
Our hearts are with those affected
of course.
by the devastating floods in Sri Lanka, which has declared a state of emergency. Mr. Speaker, in times of crisis, Canadians step up and to support an urgent and immediate response.
He's the Assistant Randeep Saray, Secretary of State International Development, of course.
Coalition and other partners deliver life-saving relief. This means emergency shelter, water, health services,
This is
and
the
other
problem. I don't
essentials
like
to
this.
the most effective, and builds on support
It's
Canada's
not like
already provided.
they're not talking
in
about
World Food
Canada.
Program's emergency response. We're closely following developments
Anyway,
across the region.
you get the
and
idea.
continue to stand
That's what I
with
see this every day now.
facing the impacts of the disease.
And it's like they're doing this. It's like they're doing this to kind of signal to the groups, hey, vote for us. This is, we're going to talk about your issues in Parliament. Like, it's pathetic. Canadian Parliament turned into a third world gong show. Embarrassing. Like, if you're a Canadian student or something, you're watching this. Look, I used to watch Parliament all the time, and it wasn't like this. I'll tell you this. Like, they talked about Canadian issues. Like, this is ridiculous. Okay. It's ridiculous. I could see, I could see why the States is not impressed with us, because they see, like, this is crazy. They're not perfect either. They got problems. Like, they're bringing in a lot too. But at least they seem to be trying to reverse it. I don't know. We're not at all. That's the problem. Here's Tim Hortons selling out Canadians. Tim Hortons kept asking the Canadian government for more temporary foreign workers for the past 18 months. Of course. I haven't had Tim Hortons in months. I used to go 3 times a day, 2 or 3 times a day, not anymore. Even when I cut down, like I never ate food there, really. A bagel sometimes. Now, nothing. Nothing. But the once in a while I would get a coffee because I was on the road and I needed a coffee or whatever. But after, just, I can't, it's just it was all like Indians in every Tim Hortons. And it's like, why would I want to support something like this? Like, it's not the Tim Hortons I liked. And plus it's just not the same coffee. It's like shit. I don't know. Maybe it was always shitty, but it seems shittier now. So, yeah, I haven't gone there in months now. And, like, that's pretty bad. Like, I used to spend tons of money, and everybody I was in my circle had spent tons of money. Now, probably nothing. So they must, maybe they're making new money off their new Indian customers. I don't know. But, yeah, definitely not going there ever again. What's this? Oh, I like this meme. This is funny. Sometimes I wonder if the people who unfriended me in 2019 are starting to realize I was right. I got unfriended so much. For the COVID stuff, for the Trump, the election steal. People thought I was insane. But it all showed I think I was on top of most of it. Like, you think Joe Biden won that election? Whatever. COVID, it's all scam. So yeah, but they didn't refriend me. I guarantee that. Those kinds of people, they don't like to admit they're wrong. All right. Here's another issue. This is a good one. Greg Wycliffe. If you're spending all your energy as a man is the key word, clutching your pearls over offensive things another man has said while the country burns, then you're part of the problem. And he's talking about guys like Marty up north and Clyde Do Nothing and Wyatt Gaypool they're supposedly they are men, but they're clutching their pearls like women at the like guys like the Second Sons who have the masks on when they go to their rally. And literally, the country is literally burning. It's on the headed for destruction. Existential threats, and they're worried about some dudes, white dudes wearing a mask. And like really worried, like more worried than they are about everything else, which is whacked. And it's like, the ICE guys that wear masks, the cops that wear masks, Batman wore masks. So it's like, clutch your pearls some more, you guys, fake men. Very disappointed, and it's such a weird phenomenon. These weird soy men that get so more upset over guys trying to save or stop the destruction of Canada. They're more upset about those guys than they are about the actual people destroying the country. It's pretty pathetic, really. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. Okay. Word retard is not meant for people with handicaps. It's meant for non-handicapped people who are stupid. If you don't understand this, you're a retard. Yes, I think it's a good word for describing people like the supposedly non-disabled people who are dumb as hell. Got to have a word for them. And Elon Musk says exactly. I thought that was
That's
funny.
crazy.
Again, as
Here's. All right, next one. Here's this Michelle Rempel Gardner. She's acting all tough on immigration when she was totally the opposite, but whatever. She's. Let's see what she says here. She's talking to the immigration minister.
Why are you still giving TFW work permits to fast food restaurants in major urban centers? That's crazy.
again, as I
1 minute.
explained before, the ESDC goes through and decides where we have labor gaps. People who are getting these, businesses who are getting these have to go through an
But
LMIA assessment.
Did you tell Patty, I'm a little uncomfortable issuing these permits. We have a 20% youth job crisis. I am not going to give Tim Hortons in urban centers work permits. We should change the program. Have you said that to your colleague?
Any employer that receives these goes through a strenuous process
Yeah.
where they have to show they
And-
cannot find.
And by the way, this immigration minister of ours was born in like Lebanon, so of course we have an immigration minister who's an immigrant.
As well, it's
It's-
1% of our target.
But there's a lot of fraud in that,
it's-
and I have a hard time believing that a fast food restaurant in downtown Toronto needs a TFW for basic work. So have you made any effort to close the program off? Like if you said, hey, maybe we should bet on Canadian kids and scrap the program?
We're always betting on Canadian kids. That's
don't
why
think
we
you
have
are.
what we have. As in terms of facts, there's a 70% decrease
That
in the
is time.
temporary foreign
Thank you,
worker
Ms.
permits
Rempel-Gardner.
in
So
the
anyway,
low-wage
this
industry.
temporary foreign workers thing is a scam. Like in Sarnia here, Sarnia Lambton, they're opening fast food restaurants left and right. And like and independent restaurants are struggling to survive, but these things are opening up like crazy. And all the fast food places will be staffed by imported Indians with this LMIA or temporary foreign worker. Because all they do is show nobody, they'll say, oh, nobody wanted to work, whatever. But basically, they're scams. They open these businesses and they basically import the whole staff. I don't know how they get away with it, but that's the way it is because they just want to get more people into this country. But like I said, in Sarnia, they're opening up fast food restaurants. Do we need all these fast food restaurants? Would it be the end of the world if half the fast food restaurants closed? No. All that would happen is the workers would have to go home. So, yeah, basically, the only reason they're opening up all these fast food restaurants is to get the next Indian family or 20 cousins in. And then they go open up another fast food restaurant and they get another 25 Indians in. So it's just like an immigration scheme. It's not about opening up like improving the economy. Like, do we need an economy built on fast food restaurants and Uber Eats drivers? No, I think we'll survive without that.
Expected to take up a bigger
Okay,
share
so-
of household
sorry.
budget.
Next story. This is messed up. It's going to hurt a lot of people. They're expecting Canadians are being told to brace for another year of soaring food costs. An average family of 4 will spend over $17,000 on groceries in 2026. Meat up another 5% to 7%. Restaurants up 6%. So restaurant prices he's talking about. Vegetables up 5%. So food banks now spend $22 million a year just to keep people fed. All right. This is what. Let's see what the report says here.
Family of 4 will have to pay $900.
So basically,
But first, food's expected to take up a bigger share of household budgets next year, and that's according to a new report released this morning.
This is horrible.
CTV's Camille Karamali joins us with more on the food price report. Camille, how much are food prices expected to increase for the average family of 4 next year?
Hey, Nathan, the average Canadian family will have to pay nearly $8,000 more for food in 2026. That's according to the food report released this morning. And that would bump up the average family of 4's allocation for their budget towards food or their overall food expenditure up to over $17,000.
That seems high,
$17,000. The average family of 4 will have to pay $994 more in 2026 compared to 2025 for food, and that the total predicted food expenditure will go up to $17,571. That is according to Canada's food price report released this morning. And the biggest increase is expected to be seen in meat. We can see the breakdown here on the next graphic board. Meat is set to increase anywhere from 5 to 7% next year. You can see that circle in the top right of your screen. And meat already saw a 7.2% increase in 2025. So yet another 5 to 7% increase expected in 2026.
Anyway, you get the point. You get the picture. More money on food for next year. Elbows up. I don't know how much more Canadians can take of this awesome governance of ours. Here's another interesting story. This is, it's all connected. It's all connected. I thought this was in Ottawa begins to consider the possibility of a Quebec referendum, which is hilarious because basically the situation is there's going to be a provincial election in Quebec in 10 months. The party that's leading, Parti Québécois, promised a referendum within a year of getting elected, and they're ahead by 20 points. So obviously, things could change, like Pierre's situation. So they could, but as it stands, they look like they're on their way to winning the election. So that means a referendum would be in about 2027. Because the election would be in October 26, 2026, sorry. So the funny thing is, it's crazy, is Ottawa is considering the possibility of a Quebec referendum. And you don't think this would, Alberta would want to be matching them, at least, like have their own referendum, because they're going to say, if Quebec can do it, why can't we? I don't know how strong, I don't live in Alberta, so I don't know how strong the separatist sentiment is there. But it'd be pretty insane if in 2027 we had both Alberta and Quebec holding referendums. It'd be insane. Unprecedented. It could happen. It could happen. Quebec for sure will happen if the PQ wins. Alberta, like I said, I don't know how strong the referendum push is there. But Quebec, they've had 2 already, so they're pretty good at organizing referendums on sovereignty. So, but yeah, Canada's in for a lot of rough waters, and there's no really good leaders, like people to hold it together, like a John A. Macdonald or Wilfrid Laurier or even Mackenzie King. They had, they're not, obviously they're not perfect, but they really had that statesman-like quality that we don't have any of our leaders now. They're all just traitors. So that's what happens when you're governed by traitors. Everybody wants to leave. So Quebec might have a referendum. Alberta might have a referendum. Interesting. I wonder if Quebec will vote yes. I think the youngsters will vote yes. The young people in Quebec. But we'll find out. It's going to be interesting. All right, next. Here's Marty up north. This is where we're talking about Marty up north. The Alberta guy. I don't know how independent Alberta's going to be with guys like that. But here's Marty up north. Which extreme on the Canadian political spectrum is uglier? Far left, far right. So you see, he's trying to, he wants people to say far right. Like, I know what he's trying to say here. He's trying to say, oh, we got to watch out for second sons or whatever. And he's just really, I didn't think he was like that. I thought he was more level-headed. Like, I thought he would see the destruction and, you know, realize how serious it is. But apparently he's more worried about some masks. Lack of self-awareness on these retards is amazing. The dumb fuck tweets from an anonymous account and doesn't see that the same thing is wearing a mask. This is Indian level intelligence. So yeah, the Seymour guy. True believers don't wear masks in public, for one. Yeah. Meanwhile, this guy has an anonymous account. Ridiculous people. Okay, what's next? This is an interesting story I heard. It's kind of a rumor, but Trump wants to like totally leave the free trade agreement between U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Like basically scrap the whole deal. And Riley Donovan says it's time to amicably end the free trade agreement. Our forefathers who built Canada established an east-west economy to resist the continental pull of the U.S. Canada's destiny is to be a Dominion, not an American branch plant. And I kind of agree, because when Brian Mulroney, I think he sold Canada out to help his wealthy donors gain more money, make more money. I think Canada was doing great prior to free trade agreement. We were told that we weren't competitive, but I don't believe that at all. And now look where we are. We signed the free trade agreement. Well, the election, 1988, so shortly after we signed the free trade agreement. Do you think Canada's better off now, 30 years later? 35 years later? I don't think so. I mean, I see nothing but destruction. So, the damage is done. I remember when they signed the free trade, like literally 2 months later, and they announced like a huge plant closing in Canada. So yeah, I don't know what you can do now. Even if you leave it now, it's the damage is all done. All right, what do I know though? Next one, deport report. This is funny, not funny, but this name is funny. Harry Haran Navaratnam, sounds Sri Lankan, has been charged with dangerous operation of a conveyance causing death. He lost control of his pickup truck that struck and killed a 34-year-old female driver. Or I don't know if that's... Okay. Okay, basically he killed his passenger. But the reason... I've seen a lot of accidents like this in Canada, and I never used to see accidents, this many accidents. And it's like a daily occurrence now. It's because how many Canadians are going to be killed because of these traitor leaders of ours think importing third world drivers is a good idea. Like, never mind the truck drivers. I'm talking about just the regular drivers. But yeah. Horrible drivers. Like, I don't even want to walk on the road now with my kids. I'm afraid I'm getting mowed down. All right. Next, I saw this. This is the war. They want us to get into war with Russia. And you're going to see articles like this. Very, very continuous articles like this, trying to condition the Canadian public into getting full-blown war with Russia. Even though Trump's trying to stop this war, I don't know if he'll be successful. It says 2/3 of Canadians support sending our troops to countries such as Poland if Russia invades, according to a new poll. And I don't know who the hell they asked, the boomers, the elbows up guys. But I don't think, we should be going to any wars, especially against Russia. But, our traitor leaders and the traitor leaders in Europe, they're so anxious to get into war with Russia. They destroyed their own countries. Their countries, their economies are destroyed. Their populations are getting killed and raped. But they want to go to war with Russia. It's weird. It's so weird. And Canada's the exact same. Like, we want to be enemies with Russia. We want to go to war with Russia. Our traitor leaders do. But a lot of Canadians seem to buy into it. I don't know. I don't like that. But these are globalist warmongers, man. They need to find I don't know. We gotta. And Canada's got the issue with both parties support the war. So they both want to go to war with Russia. It'd be nice to see some divergence on, from the Conservatives on this issue, but no, they're pro war with Russia too. I don't know about that poll though. It looks like a loaded poll or fake poll. Next, this is funny, in Brampton, of course, third world Canada. In Canada, a cab driver is using a handicapped space at Tim Hortons to do auto repairs. The country is going to shit. Yeah, this stuff happens in third world countries where people do whatever the hell they want, and usually they get away with it. What's this? Is there a sound? Oh. Let's see.
Yes, guys, this is Tim Hortons. That's a handicap parking. And a Punjabi cab driver decided to change the oil, change the brakes, and this is his mini workshop.
That's crazy.
Can you believe that? Only in Brampton.
Soon the rest of
Tim
Ontario.
Hortons started changing the oil and changing the brakes. So everybody please visit this Tim Hortons. Highway 10 and Baved.
Pretty soon the rest of Canada. Third world Brampton, pretty soon the rest of Canada. Okay. Here's another globalist warmonger, Robert Fife. He's tweeting a New York Times article. The useful idiots from America whom Putin is playing like a flute. Yeah, and Robert Fife, longtime CTV journalist. Robert Fife and his ilk are globalist warmongers. These dinosaurs need to go. But yeah, basically if you're against the war, you're a Putin idiot or a useful idiot for Putin, whatever. I don't want to go into World War III with Russia. I like Russia. I'm sure a lot of Canadians don't want to go into World War III with Russia. We got bigger. The Russians didn't ruin Canada. Our traitor leaders did. Russians didn't destroy our businesses with COVID. Our traitor leaders did. They didn't flood the world, the country with third world migrants. So I'm not really buying this whole Russia. We got to fight Russia business. There's my tire today. Oh my gosh, it was freezing out, and I got a good workout, man. These bolts were tight. They're out $300-400 too, of course. And this was interesting. It was a full moon this morning. That's so weird, eh? I never expected to see that this morning. I'm sure there's an astronomical reason for it. I didn't really look it up. It's the time of year, I guess. Here's another third world story. Vehicle shot at Gardner. Vehicle probably shot too. Vehicle shot at on Gardner Expressway. Westbound lanes closed for investigation. Oh, I gotta read this. So Gardner Expressway is one of the busiest roads to get into Toronto. So this is third world stuff. Toronto police briefly shut down a section of the westbound Gardner Expressway late Friday morning after a vehicle was reportedly shot at. That would do great things for traffic. So 9:50 in the morning, daylight shooting, where a vehicle had been fired upon while traveling on the highway. So they found evidence of gunfire. So it doesn't say where the shots came from. No. Anyway. It says no. Anyway, I don't even know why this is a story. It says no evidence of gunfire. Anyway, maybe it was from the condos. All right, here's another one. A regular occurrence. Suspects sought after home invasion in Vaughan. Vaughan gets a lot of home invasions. What's going on in Vaughan? So, today, Carney was in Washington today. They were doing the drawing for the World Cup cities or something. I don't know. The teams. Yeah, the teams for the groupings. I don't know if he talked to Trump there. I'm sure he tried to. I thought Doug Ford would chime in today and say something stupid, but it doesn't look like he did. He hasn't said shit about Trump lately. He's maybe they told him to shut up. Remember, since the commercial thing, the commercial tiff over the commercial. This is funny. This has been making the rounds today. This is the Minneapolis mayor. He's eating some Somalian food, and it doesn't look very appetizing. I guess it's beans with all sorts of stuff mixed in with it. And the reason he went there is because Trump is basically slamming or really trashing Somalians. And there's a lot of Somalians in Minnesota. So he went to show his support, kind of like our Canadian politicians do. And look at him. It's hilarious. He's just going to show up Trump, just to show Trump that he's better than Trump. He's going to eat the Somalian beans. Hope he's all right. I thought it was funny. Let's watch him. He looks like he's getting tortured. He's probably like, I'm quitting politics after this. I thought that was funny. That was basically all over X today. This guy, poor guy. It serves him right. He shouldn't pander. Pandering. Those Somalians, they're going to kill you with their beans, man. Look at the guy, he's just smiling. You eat all the beans. Eat it all. All right. Next, another thing on the masks. So they say the masks are like a shield, like they shield your identity so your family can't be hurt. That's why Batman wore a mask. And they're like, people are like, stop using that shield, coward. And he's like, no. So yeah, they're basically saying you can't mask up because we're against that. But you know, everybody else can mask up except for you, basically. literally. And is it good that people wear masks or feel they have to wear masks? No, it's not good. But it's the situation that the country, I believe, is in. Like, you would be totally exposing yourself to danger, to your family to danger. But, you know, there's people that say, screw it, I won't wear a mask, I'll do it. I get it. Obviously, it'd be nice to get to a place where we don't have to have masks. But the country's destroyed. So I think masks are the least of our problems. Everybody else wear masks. Maybe we should all wear a mask. There's a guy again. Poor guy. Leftists will overdose, or leftists will eat nasty Somali slop to feel like they're sticking it to Trump. Astonishing behavior. So funny. Those beans, I never heard anything. I have never heard one good thing about Somalian food. Like, you got to try this Somalian food. This Somalian recipe. No, I've never heard that. I'm just saying. I never have. All right. Here's the Quebec. We were talking about Quebec. They got a 20-point lead over the Liberals. So that if it holds, watch out. All right. And you know it's gonna. The more if Parti Québécois wins, and they win a majority, they're just gonna excite the Albertans even more, because if they're gonna talk, the news is all gonna talk about Quebec referendum. You don't think that's gonna encourage the Albertans? It should be interesting to see the effect on each. If the Quebec thing, I mean, the Alberta thing might not need any inspiration or motivation from the Quebec referendum, but it'll be definitely interesting to see them how they kind of operate, how they kind of play off each other. It's gonna be fascinating, really. All right, next. This is Commie Canada. I saw this today. X states clearly it will adhere to a country's laws. In Canada, they use tiered system to throttle back certain profiles. Yeah, because right now he's getting fined. Elon Musk is getting fined in Europe because they're for refusing to censor people to the liking of EU tyrants. Okay, so he's paying fines there. But then he says here that so they use a tiered system, so I guess they're not censoring in a sense. Who knows? But Canada's going to get worse if the Liberals get their way on censorship. They tried with Trudeau, and he was too weak politically at the time, I think, to push through an internet censorship bill like the UK and the European countries have. But now that immigration is basically getting more and more online, like opposition, vocal opposition, definitely I think they're gonna, now with Carney in, they're gonna really go after that stuff. Global Commie Canada. The U.S. is getting rid of a bunch of less desirable people. Where do you think they're going to end up? Less desirable people, where do you think? So yeah, because Trump's talking about like cutting immigration from all the third world countries. He should be talking about India, but he should be including India, but he didn't. Maybe that's the next step. I don't know. But I'm actually worried too about this. Is if he, like say, he kicks out the Somalians, they might come here, or if he kicks out the Haitians, they might come here. So that's the knock-on effect. He might, I don't know, he might just be all talk and not actually go through with it. Or he might lose the midterms and he won't be able to. But even if, if he does start throwing people out of the country like he wants to, or like he says he's going to, I could see a lot of them ending up in Canada, which is, for sure our government would take them too, because they care more about them than they do about Canadians. So yeah. But they got to get Indians on that list. India on the third world, but technically it's not a third world country. But I think the optimist in me thinks the Indian immigration question will take care of itself, because I think that the fatigue will get to a level where people will be like, okay, we've got to cut this out. So that's the optimist in me. Self-correction on the Indian immigration. Okay, here's this. The plan to reduce immigration number. This is about Canadian immigration. The plan to reduce immigration numbers to 380,000 in the 2025 budget was a smokescreen. Immigration Canada has penciled in an extra 115,000 migrants on top of the 380,000 through the Immigration Protection Plan. And they have no money to sustain it. So let's see what this is. Parliament, the Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration. Let's see what he says here.
You mentioned in your opening statement about the one-time initiatives to recalibrate our immigration system. So there's 115,000 protected persons and 33,000 temporary workers. So I'm a little confused. What category are they going to show up on the levels plan when they're being reported? Are those humanitarian and compassionate people?
Okay, yeah, so let me start with, if you'll
That's
allow me,
immigration
if not
minister
someone else
again.
will, but the protected person in Canada category, if I can explain to you the definition of that.
Well, I don't need that.
Okay, so your question, no, did not
so I'm
give me
wondering
the idea that
Okay.
maybe perhaps, you go ahead and ask that again.
Okay, so you put in the plan, well, you didn't put in the plan, you put in a little asterisk at the bottom of the plan, where, by the way, we're going to add another 115,000 people to this plan. So the plan is actually going to be higher than you said. I'm just curious where those people are going to show up in the plan once they actually are granted PR.
So the addition of that number is in addition to the plan. That is correct.
And so what line on the plan are they going to show up as?
Well, they're in the budget. It was presented in Parliament. It's there, transparent.
So the number,
everybody is seeing it. They are in addition to the plan.
But I'm confused. You're saying they're in the budget, but they're in addition to the budget. So which is it? Are they in the budget or in addition to the budget?
Not the budget. They are in addition to the level plan for, it's a one-time initiative over the next 2 years.
So when you said the levels were going to be 380,000 or whatever, they're actually going to be higher than that, is what you're saying?
Again, it's very transparent. The document is there.
But
those are the numbers.
I would disagree.
For the next 2 years, these are one-time initiatives.
One-time initiative. Then they'll have more one-time initiatives.
It's transparent because you're saying on the one hand it's this number, 380,000, and on the other hand you're saying, by the way, we're going to add in another X number of people. We don't know how many it's going to be. I don't find that transparent at all.
Yeah.
You mentioned
no, there's not going to be no reduction in immigration. It's just shuffling numbers around. That's all they're doing. All right. And then, like I said, it won't be long before Trump starts bitching at us the way he's bitching at Europe about their immigration. I'm surprised he hasn't really, to be honest. All right, here's a good meme. Trump, my God, India looks like, that's funny. That's Canada, Mr. President. Yeah, I seen this one before, but I thought it was pretty funny. All right. It's just a matter of time before he starts kicking out the Indians. Maybe, maybe not. All right. And this will be the last one. And this kind of relates to Canada. Elon Musk has been very vocal on Europe destroying itself. I'm surprised he hasn't said much about Canada, because he has a lot of Canadian connection with his mother, and he lived here for a bit. But he doesn't mention Canada. But he must be thinking about Canada when he sees what's going on in Europe. So he's basically saying, he's agreeing with this tweet, European civilization could disappear within the next 20 years if the continent fails to overcome its political divisions and reform its migration and demographic policies, according to a newly released U.S. National Security Strategy published by the White House. So yeah, basically they've been saying a lot, the U.S. government, about what's going on in Europe, but the exact same thing is happening in Canada. So it'll be interesting, if anything concrete, policy-wise. I mean, they're already treating us like giving us the disrespect. They're dissing us because they think we're running the country like shit. I agree, we are. But it'll be interesting to see if they start writing out reports about Canada like this, that they are for Europe. Or they just maybe just be sitting back and letting us destroy ourselves, and they'll be there to pick up the pieces. That could be their strategy. All right. So yeah, interesting stuff. We'll see how it all goes. It's not looking good for Canada, though. Not looking good. But sometimes it's always darkest before the dawn. Yeah. So we'll see. The next broadcast will be December 7th. Gonna go out for a little Christmas stuff. So until then, Sunday, December 7th. So until then, have a nice night and have a nice weekend. Thanks.